welcome back to this week's edition of Ask Ron, where our Gold Club members ask Ron questions weekly, and we get them answered for you. Today I've got Ron with me. How are you doing today, Ron?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm sitting here watching our AI presentation going on right now and taking a break to come out and do this.
Awesome. Learning lots about AI?
I learned a ton about AI. It just excites you.
Awesome.
Exciting stuff.
Well, I do want to give you guys a heads up. This is an exclusive offer for our Gold Club members. So if you are a Gold Club member and if you have a question, feel free to leave it down in the Ask Ron forum, under the forum section. We will go ahead and get started. Our first one comes from Francia Pierre. He's in Georgia, and he's asking if a seller's deed is tenants in common and the other owner's husband is deceased. How would she go about getting this resolved since the wife is waiting to sell the property?
That's a question you're going to ask to just call a title company or an attorney and answer. I don't know Georgia law in that respect, so I can't help you with that.
Okay.
And you might even try to ask Siri. She might have an answer. Who knows? And in fact, I'm just learning about a site called Perplexity, which is AI. Might want to go there and ask the question to them. To that site, I'll bet you get an answer there. This stuff's amazing. I mean, this AI stuff is replacing us humans so fast.
All right. Well, next up, we've got a question from Tony and Angie over in Columbus, Ohio. And they asked, if we find a tenant/buyer we like for whatever reason, but they don't have the 10% down for non-refundable option deposit, how do you feel about allowing them to get in initially for less and then allow them to add to their monthly payment, so far as it's an extra portion to increase to the NROD?
Tony and Angie, I would do that only if I'm not getting what I want from the market and give it time first. What you just mentioned is what a lot of investors do, but they do it wrong, therefore making a mess out of it, and they're just creating a problem they have to fix later. You said 10%. I said we shoot for 10%. We don't always get 10%. Sometimes we get more. The better the quality of the house and the quality of the neighborhood and the quality of the market at that point, the easier it is to get 10%. But you might not be able to get it regardless. I don't take less than 5%, and I mean that. That's an ironclad rule with me. If I can't get them to hand me at least 5%, they're not getting the keys to my house, because I have never had it work out if I don't get at least 5%. Plus, remember, I'm cheating myself out of that front-end cash. Now, somebody can give me 5%, and then I put them on the down payment assistance program, which is what you're talking about. That's getting them to pay rent plus X number of dollars per month to go toward their down payment. I'm okay with that, but just the same, 5% is a minimum. And I'm talking about from war zone houses on up. I want 5% absolute rock bottom.
All right, awesome. Next one is, when buying a property subject to, how do we get the lending company to talk to us?
We don't get the lending company to talk to you because you don't need to talk to them. All you need to do is get the seller to show you something that's got the approximate balance on the loan, and they probably got something that shows the approximate makeup of the escrow taxes and insurance as well. That's all you need. And your attorney's going to close this. Let them worry about verifying whatever they want to verify. You don't need to call the lender. Do not call the lender, for that matter. Let the attorney handle it. And frankly, I don't care if they call the bank or not. If I get the amount that they still owe on the loan and the makeup of the escrow account, what do I need the bank for? I don't need their permission. So, I mean, if by the way, you know, you can pick up the phone and call the voicemail for the bank. And if you have the seller's name and a social security number, I think that's about all. Well, maybe the account number. All the information you need is right there. They'll tell you the balance at that time. They'll tell you if it's current. That's all you need to know. So don't even bother contacting the bank. If it needs to be done, the attorney will tell you.
All right. Next question is, hey Ron, I've got asbestos in 2 of my properties. What is the best course of action?
Well, that depends on where the asbestos is at and if it's a problem or not, which you didn't tell me. If it's, I don't know, the asbestos shingles on the outside of the house are not a problem. You don't have to do anything with them. But you should probably get some inspector to come out. Maybe you've already done that, but it depends on whether the asbestos is in a location which could be dangerous. For example, let's say the asbestos is in the wrapping of the vents in the basement or something like that. In a nutshell, as long as the kids can't get to it and ingest it, and it's not a problem as long as you put a tenant in it. But your attorney will probably will tell you to disclose it just the same, just to CYA.
All right.
Of course, you can always work. How do I get it out of there? You could always figure out where it's at, and the last thing you want to do is call the city out there and let them do an asbestos inspection. Just get it fixed. Okay. Same way you fix mold. It's one man and a few hours and a dumpster, and it's fixed. Okay.
All right. Next up, can you ever borrow against your home after you've put it into a land trust?
Oh, you will have to take it out of the trust, put it in your name, close the loan, and put it back into the trust.
Okay, so it doesn't affect it whenever you're putting it back into the trust?
No, they can't stop you from putting it back into the trust. In fact, I did that one time on my residence a long time ago, and I had the attorney that closed the loan go ahead and record the deed to put it back into the trust. This bank cannot stop you. Frankly, they shouldn't even care if you do it or not. It does not affect their lien in any way, shape, or form. They're still in a position where they don't get paid. They're going to foreclose on the property regardless of who owns it at the time they foreclose.
Okay. And then are you aware of any states that don't allow a land trust?
There aren't any. There are states that don't have a statute on them, and sometimes attorneys will tell you that they don't work here. That's not true. They work in all 50 states, whether they have a statute concerning them or not. And by the way, you should refer to them as a grantor revocable trust.
Okay. And then last question I've got for you, Ron, is he said, "Hey Ron, my father had a will, so why did his property have to go through probate?"
Well, because the will is not strong enough to. If the will is all he's got, all that means is that you get whatever junk he put in a will that you're going to inherit. But the title to a property is not going to be solved with a will. It's going to have to go through probate, and that's assuming your father went far enough to get a will. If he just went a little bit farther. And even put the property into a land trust, for example, he wouldn't have to even file probate. I have a situation like that right now within my own family. My sister died, and the house was in a trust, fortunately. So really, all they got to do is go fill out a new trust agreement, put it in a file cabinet, and nobody even needs to know that the title or the ownership has changed. Same when my parents died. When my mom died, I had a trust. I had the warranty deed to trustee on my desk. Before, when she died, I did not have it. But then I immediately put that property into a land trust for him. And now when my dad died, we did nothing. We just sold the property and split the proceeds. There was nothing else to do. There was no probate. The land trust avoids probate. And then there are other trusts you might want to get educated on as well. In fact, I have a lesson on the Gold Club site. All kinds of lessons on trust. There's also one on there called 4 LLCs that you might want to go look up as well, and that's talking about what entities and why use those entities.
Perfect. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you, Ron. Is there anything else you want to say?
We got a couple of free things coming up, don't we? Let's see.
We do. On
the 23rd, I'm going to spend a few hours talking about how to handle the closing call when you're talking to sellers, and we're actually going to make live calls on that session, and I'm going to be doing some of the live calling myself. It's the first time you'll hear me actually calling the sellers, and I'll have Adel, my acquisitionist partner, with me as well. And then in the afternoon that day, I'm going to have Adel's going to teach you how to use Deal Finder, which is a really cool, inexpensive way to find deals. It's going to blow you away with the use of AI. So it's going to be a pretty good several hours. I think it's going to start at 11 and end at 5, I believe. And it's free, so get signed up for that. And then we got a summit coming up in August 7, 8, 9. It's a 3-day event, and that's just a smorgasbord of sources for you, for income streams for you, all related to real estate. And I'll be teaching quite a bit on it, and I'm going to have some real pros on there as well to expand your horizons, to give you more ways to make money and more resources to make it without. And making you work less, in fact. So I'm going to be interviewing Pat live on that, the ones who take your calls, and I'll also be interviewing the Deal Finder on that. I'll show you how powerful this thing is. In fact, it might be the only thing you need to find deals when you see what it'll do for you with the use of AI. So get registered for both of those. Let your friends know about them. They're free, so they shouldn't have any resistance to the price. And frankly, if they have any interest at all in real estate, they're a must-do for them.
And I'll make sure to include the registration links in
Okay.
the video description.
All right,
All right, perfect.
that's it.
Awesome.
See you
Well,
next
great
week.
seeing you.
All
See you
right.
next week.
Bye.